take a look, give me the hook or the ovation. It's more that I want to have a little pride in.
Right, okay. So, where were you born?
I was born in Wales.
Okay. And how many brothers and sisters?
I have no brothers, but I do have 2 sisters.
What was early family life like?
Early family life, it was, I suppose, whatever early family life is like for most kids. Nothing special, nothing fantastic happened, I don't think.
Just normal, yeah?
Yeah.
And when did you have feelings inside that you knew that you were different?
First time I really knew I was different was, I didn't really know the difference between boys and girls until I was about 3 years old. Well, there was no reason for me to know. And then one night, my sister, who was about 2 years old at the time, I was 3, my mother had us in the bath together, and I looked at my sister and I pushed everything back between my legs and said, "Look, Mummy, I'm a girl now." And she told me, "Don't be so stupid." I said, "But I prefer it like that."
Yeah.
And she just thought I was just being stupid.
Yeah.
And as childhood went on, I always knew that something wasn't right, and I didn't really. I felt more drawn towards feminine things. Yeah.
Did you try your mum's clothes on when she wasn't around?
No.
No? Right, okay. What were you like at school?
I would say I felt isolated. I didn't really feel that I fitted in with the others. Like everyone else would be into football and so on. I hated football. I was like, "Oh, you must support a football team." Well, why? I don't like football, but all boys like football. No, I don't. I hate football. Again, I remember one primary school I went to lots of schools, but one particular primary school I went to, it was the old-fashioned type of playground with a wall separating the boys and girls.
Yeah.
And I can remember at playtimes looking over that wall, looking at the girls playing the skipping games and playing rounders and so on, and thinking, God, I want to be over there. I don't want to be on this side of all these boys playing, kicking balls around. I want to be over there. I want to be playing, the skipping games and,
Sure. So you played with dolls and stuff like that then?
Yep. I had an action man, but I'd rather have had a Barbie.
What were you like as a teenager?
As a teenager, again, I was. I found my teenage years quite confusing because as puberty hit in and I started to feel my body changing and I noticed body changes, I was not happy, and I knew something was different about me. Well, I won't say I knew something was different, I knew what was different about me. I knew that I was born into the wrong sex. And when I was about 12 years old, I found an encyclopedia of human biology in the local library. And so on. And there was a chapter in it about genetics and hormones and so on. And I remember one particular page mentioned about sex change operations. and there was a picture of, I think it was April Ashley, and I read this, and it was like suddenly I knew where my life was going.
Mm-hmm.
I knew that one day in the future, whatever else was going to happen in my life, that was the one certain thing I absolutely knew
Yeah.
was going to be in my destiny, my fate, whatever you want to call it. And I knew it was going to happen. Whatever else I did in life, that was going to happen.
Absolutely. What was your first job?
My first job. My first job at 18. I ran away and joined the Foreign Legion.
Yep.
I know it sounds a bit crazy, but it appealed to my sense of adventure.
And to get away from your mother, I'm guessing.
Well, yes, I suppose, get away from the family pressures, but I think I just exchanged one set of pressures for another.
How long was you in the Foreign Legion?
Just a couple of years.
Fair enough.
They decided my services were no longer required.
Right, okay. Tell me about the isolation that you felt when you knew that you wanted to become a woman.
When I first knew what I wanted to do, that would be when I was about, it was when I first found out, the operation was there.
Yeah.
I knew, I was 12 years old at the time. I knew that nothing was going to happen at that age. But I did say to my mother, this is what I'm going to do one day. She was not happy. She said, don't be stupid. But as I've said, I knew it was in my future. She was not happy. She did offer me, she was very generous, and she offered me electric shock treatment.
Oh, how nice.
Well, she said, this might cure you.
Like
And I'm
torturing your mind then.
Yes,
Yeah.
and
We'll burn it out of you.
yes, as a young child, I was like, oh my God, electric shock treatment. No.
It's terrible. What were your family and other people's feelings about that?
My family, they've never accepted me. They don't want to accept me. They think I'm some sort of monster. Their attitude is, your happiness doesn't matter as long as you don't make anyone else unhappy. I said, well, what do you mean? Who is anyone else? Well, us, your family. I said, doesn't my happiness matter? Nope.
That's selfish.
And my sisters have refused to have any real contact with me for 20 years, and they dislike me so much that I was not even allowed to go to my mother's funeral. When my mother died in 2006, I was living in France at the time, but a couple of years before, my mother had said to me, please come to my funeral. I told her it won't happen. Catherine and Sarah, my sisters, will make sure I'm not there. And she said, no, I don't believe anyone could be so cruel. And when she died, I was not told about the funeral until it was too late for me to.
It was the night before, wasn't it?
Yes.
And you was in France, so there wasn't time
Yes,
to
I was
get
in
back.
France. There was a phone call, 11:15 at night. Funeral is 11:45 tomorrow.
So they made it impossible for you
Yes.
to get there. That's nice,
Yeah.
isn't it? Russell Reed, is that a foundation or something, or is it a surgery? What is it? A doctor's? I don't know.
No, Russell Reed was a private. Russell Reed was a psychiatrist who specialised in gender dysphoria. He originally worked for Charing Cross, but his views on treatment and the Charing Cross gender identity clinic's views on treatment were a bit at odds, and he set up in private practice, and eventually I found out his contact details from someone, and I made an appointment to see him, and he gave me a prescription for estrogen tablets, female hormones, and I thought, at last, I'm on my way.
Thank God.
Yes.
Okay, so what exactly did they do?
Physically there was a redistribution of body fat. You start putting weight on the hips, on the breasts. You do lose a bit of muscle tone, but I think the most important thing of all is the mental effects it had. I think it was just the fact that I started on the tablets. I knew I was on the pathway to
Being the
this
person that you
great
wanted to become.
destiny
Yes.
in my life, and it just made me feel so much calmer.
And how long was you on those for?
I've been on them ever since, and I will have to be on estrogen for the rest of my life.
How many tablets?
At the moment I'm on 6 milligrams a day.
Okay, and they don't affect you in any other way, no side effects or anything like that?
No.
That's good.
But I also have to take them because if I don't take them, I am prone to calcium deficiency, which will lead to osteoporosis, brittle
Oh my
bones.
goodness,
Yeah.
that's so bad. Okay, so when did you actually go and have the full operation?
I had the operation a few days before my birthday in 1999.
Okay, and how long did the operation actually take?
I'm not sure, I was under anaesthetic.
Fair
A few
enough.
hours.
And how long till recovery?
I was off work for 3 months, but I was still quite sore.
Obviously.
Yeah.
And did your family finally accept you then?
Nope. They never have, never will do. In fact, my sister has even said to me, my husband must never find out about you. It would destroy my marriage.
How nice of her.
Well, perhaps her marriage is very insecure.
And are you angry at your family?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, how have you dealt with that over the years now?
I've bottled it up. I feel that if my family had not rejected me, there would have been a bit more support in times when I needed it. But I think the fact that I was not even allowed to go to my own mother's funeral really said to me how much I am hated by my family.
Right. And obviously, after the operation, you can have a
Yes, yes.
to ask.
It has to be the right person, obviously.
Oh yeah, of course, of course. Did you have a best friend or somebody that could get you through it, or somebody to talk to?
He was called Martin, and we were together for almost 20 years.
And hang on a minute, don't get upset. Doing really well. Have you ever been married?
No. For me, in my previous existence, I felt it would have been wrong. Knowing what I knew about what I was going to do in the future, I thought to get married and have children, I would be lying to myself
Yeah.
and also to any children or wife I might have.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I would not be able to turn around to a woman, to my wife and say, right, that's it, love, I'm going to become a woman. And I would not be able to say to my children, the father you thought you had is not actually going to be the father you have.
Okay. And Martin, when did you first meet him?
I met Martin 6 weeks after I first changed over to living as a female. We met in the ship in Rochester.
Everyone meets there.
And we...
The love of your life.
Yeah, I suppose he was, yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
And how old was he?
He was 50 when I met him.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how old were you?
I was about 29.
Older man, always better. And you moved to France together?
Yes, this was like, Martin had the idea that we should move to France. Now, Martin's never been to France before he met me. But one day I said to him, let's go to Paris for a weekend. So we went to Paris for a weekend. He fell in love with France. Then we ended up going to France on holiday a few times. He really, really enjoyed it. I mean, I'd been to Paris so many times myself before. I could show him all sorts of places, like, this is where I slept on this bench and so on. And then we went on a few holidays to France. And then one day he announced to me, wouldn't it be nice if we had a holiday home in France? I thought, Martin, please, no. Anyway, we ended up with a holiday home in Brittany.
Yeah.
And a couple of years later, he decided it would be nice to live there. So we ended up moving over to France.
Nice.
Permanently.
Okay. And there's a poem that you like, isn't there? And can you tell me what it means to you?
The poem I like is actually called Eratoro. It's by Ezra Pound. And it's actually the last couple of lines of it that I particularly like. It goes something like, thank you, whatever comes, for now was sunlit, and the Most High Gods may not make boast of any better thing than to have watched that hour as it passed. And I think that in the great eternity of time, the years I had with Martin were like 1 hour, and that was my sunlit hour. Those years were my sunlit hour in the whole of my existence, my universe.
It's beautiful. Something not quite as deep. Who are your fashion influences?
Christian Dior, the new look, especially Karl Lagerfeld, Christian Lacroix, also Yves Saint Laurent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you like 1950s kind of
I
style?
like the 50s style,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's great, isn't it? It's that modern tinge
Yeah.
to it. If somebody wants to have reassignment surgery, how do they go about it?
Your first port of call has to be your general practitioner. Get a referral to the nearest gender identity clinic. When I was first trying to access treatment through the NHS, it was very different. But now there's more awareness of it, it is easier. Though saying that, there are general practitioners who still don't really understand that transsexualism. And unfortunately, a lot of the medical profession themselves still need education. But as a first step, go to your general practitioner and get them to refer you to a gender identity clinic. But also, I think you really have to question yourself very, very closely and decide, is this for me? Because once you start going down that path, if you get the surgery, that's it.
That's right, yeah.
I mean, I've got no regrets, but there are people who have regrets.
Okay.
I would never go back.
Yeah.
The personal toll and price has been very heavy, but I'd go through it again, yeah.
Okay. If you could speak to your younger self, what would you say?
Forget what your family is saying. Do it.
Yeah.
Do it as soon as possible.
Go for it. That's right.
I wasted too many years listening to them, trying to put me off. And I should have been doing it 10 years earlier.
It's important to make yourself happy and be who you
Yeah.
want to be, because you can't be anybody else, can you?
No, unfortunately my family thought otherwise.
Martin passed away last year. How have you been able to cope with that?
Not well. I had a breakdown. I haven't really coped at all. Martin was everything. And I always said to him, if you die before me, then I won't be long after you. And I must admit, sometimes I do feel like I just want to die and be with him.
I mean, you're coping a lot better than you was last year, when I first met you last year.
Yes, yeah, I think I am coping a bit better. I'm getting out of the depths of the sorrow.
Yeah.
But Martin will always be with me.
So, up to modern times,
Yeah.
are you dating anyone at all?
Yes,
And is he nice?
I'm working on him.
Good luck. Tell me about being a dominatrix.
This was something I did in France, and I really enjoyed it. For the first time in my life, I felt that I was actually in control of what I was. Yeah. I really enjoyed it, and it's not quite as easy as some people might think. It's not simply get them in the door, whip them, and send them out 5 minutes later.
Yeah.
A lot of the time, you do have to take more care of them, or at least as much care of them as you do yourself. And very often I ended up as a marriage counsellor and agony aunt.
How did that come about?
Well, Martin decided that it would be a nice idea to move to France, so yeah, okay Martin, we'll move to France. How are we going to support ourselves? And someone suggested you could have a dungeon. They'd seen pictures of our house over there, so...
Did you have all the gear and stuff?
No, not at the time. But anyway, they suggested have a dungeon, so I thought, yeah, sounds fun.
And how long did you do that for?
I did that for about 4 years.
Oh yeah, you did say, didn't you? Okay. Right. Yeah, we just want to say that we made this documentary so that basically we can help other people who are thinking about having gender reassignment surgery, and also to help Jackie Hill as well. So basically, just a few last words as a last statement.
I think I have to say at the end of it, despite the family rejection, because my family would probably have treated me better if I'd been a convicted child molester than they do. I have no regrets. And I would say, at the end of the day, don't steer your course of life by the lights of passing ships, but rather by the pilot stars of your destiny.
That's beautiful. Yeah. That's it, really. Yeah. Wonderful stuff. That's brilliant. Yeah. That's it.
Non, rien de rien. Non, je ne regrette rien. Ni le bien qu'on m'a fait, ni le mal, tout ça m'est bien égal. Non, rien de rien. Non, je ne regrette rien. C'est payé, balayé, oublié. Je me fous du passé. Avec mes souvenirs, j'ai allumé le feu. Mes chagrins, mes plaisirs, je n'ai plus besoin de balayer les amours avec leur trémolo, balayer pour toujours. Je repars à zéro. Non, rien de rien. Non, je ne regrette rien. Ni le bien qu'on m'a fait, ni le mal, tout ça m'est bien égal. Non, rien de rien. Non, je ne regrette rien, car ma vie